Hey everyone, welcome to my Q&A. That escalated quickly. I had super huge amount of questions straight away, so close the original video. These are your answers. If you missed out, I'll do another one next weekend, so you have to hold your questions till then, or I can probably answer some text responses down below throughout the day before I go to work. Stay tuned to the end because this channel is awesome. I get all sorts of awesome comments. 99.9% of my comments are awesome, but I've had some fun with a pretty offbeat one towards the end. So you probably enjoy that, I hope. Anyway, I enjoyed the piss take. So yeah, the last is wait through the end or skip to the end, whatever. But yeah, otherwise your questions begin now. As I said, if I missed you, I'm sorry, but geez, don't want these videos to be like an hour or anything either. Stay tuned, let's go. Nick Shabazz, how was Basil named? After the plant, the saint, the Austin Powers character? Well, Basil was named because our first cat was called Lemon, and so the second cat was called Basil, so we did go with the herb theme. So that is where Basil's name came from. Which knife in my collection best exemplifies who I am as a human? I would say perhaps the Kaiser T1. It's pretty practical, but spends a bit of time trying to be fancy as well. Antec 7. Is there one pet peeve or gripe that will result in me hating an otherwise excellent knife? I.e. these knives may be amazing, but I can't get over the logo on the blade and will never own a knife. So this is his. Can't get over the large logo on the blade and will never own a knife with a large logo. I do see that, the giant billboarding. I hear you, man. Like the Rat 1 even, just huge rat on the side of it. With me, it would be, I really have a dislike for the Emerson Wave feature, which I know is, you know, some people really love it. It's a real cup of tea. But for me, it really puts me off a lot of the Emersons because I like to just, you know, I'm with most of us like this. We just like to play with a knife, and half the fun of playing with a knife is opening the knife. And if the knife's open without even thinking of it, I don't know. If I was a soldier, I'm sure it would be great, but I'm not, and neither are most of you. So I sort of don't get that feature particularly. So that's probably the one thing. Like when they if they were to put a wave on the, you know, the Kaiser T1, has its pluses, absolutely, but just not for me. Another more minor thing that I just gripe on all the time is when this tang is exposed here, especially on a lockback knife, that can actually cause lock failure. Even on a cold steel triad lock, it can. So that's another smaller thing. Antec again, is there one thing that you would like so much that would make you keep an otherwise bad knife? He makes my hand cramp, tears my pocket, but he loves the cat hair inlay. With me, it's probably, because I'm a bit of a steel nerd, I'd probably use any knife if it came in like Stellite or something cool like that. So that'd probably be enough for me to at least keep it around, do cut tests with it, use as a point of comparison. Luckily the Manix 2 is a brilliant knife to wear Maximet, but even if it wasn't, I'd probably still nurse one of those from time to time. The Rex 129 knife I'm getting is actually on an excellent custom knife called the Mako by Creeley, so that should be good as well. But yeah, that was probably something that would get most even really average designs over the line for me. Timber, what are knives that caught your attention from the 2018 SHOT Show? I did pay attention to SHOT Show this year. I really liked the Benchmade. It's from their Hunt series. Let me just find it. It was a really cool looking knife. Stand by. The Benchmade Grizzly Ridge. I really liked the handle angles on it. I really liked the orange inlays. I know it's a hunting knife with even a slight recurve, but something about that knife really appealed to me. Plus the ZT0609 looks like the perfect sized ZT, and it actually looks quite slicey. So very cool looking knife there. And what was the other things? There's a couple of, I don't half mind, Gerber have done a new multi-tool that is like, they've redone the suspension in two ways, and the suspension's like a cheapo Chinese multi-tool, but they've got one with a pocket clip on the side of it, and it actually looks okay. So that was good. White River Knives had a good showing on their fixed blades. I really enjoyed that. I'm sorry, I'm just scrolling through my feed. Just scroll past all the stuff that I didn't care for. Oh, and Spyderco had there's a Bowie knife, not the one that we've been seeing, but there's this new one that's the Taiwanese made one that comes in 4V, and it's really thin. It's like you look at what's it called? The Legend, or what's that? The big fancy Spyderco Bowie. The Respect. So not the Respect. They've got another one. I don't think they've even named it yet, but it looks really, really cool. It's in 4V. It looks a bit like a K-Bar Becker BK7 blade, thinner and just highly finished 4V. So that was probably my pick of the show, all up. Love to see blades like that come out of Spyderco, because you know they're going to be really well finished and had a cool looking handle. That was my pick. For sure. Patrick. 1. If Cedric, Ada and Basil were all playing high stakes poker, who would win and who would get fleeced? Ada would win. She's probably sharper than me half the time. Cedric would get fleeced, and Basil would just probably sit on the table on everyone's cards because he likes sitting on things. If Cedric, Ada and Basil had hands or pockets, what knives would they carry and why? Cedric would probably carry he'd probably be in the mule team, I think, because the name just matches his personality. Ada would probably carry something pretty slick like an Alma Ultralight Falcon. And Basil, I'm just looking at him now, the fat lad. He's sitting over next to the window, leaning up against it like this. What would Basil carry? I don't think he'd carry a knife at all. I think he'd carry a spoon. If Cedric, Ada and Basil were knives in my collection, which knives would they be? Alright. Ada would be probably my Spidey Chef, because she's probably my favourite. Cedric would be something big and cumbersome like my Spyderco Police, maybe. Although no, that's cumbersome. He'd probably be a fixed blade. He'd be like my A1 or my Boca Vox Rolled or something like that. Basil would be my heaviest knife, which is probably my Golok. Well, Chris's Golok. Buddy Chris. Nelson Moo. Hey Nelson. Channel goals for 2018 and beyond. More steels, better knife review, more banter. Yeah, obviously the steels. So I've got Rex 121 coming. This is just, and steel testing has just been a bit of a focus lately. I'm sure I'll get back to some of the other stuff. So I've got Rex 121 on the way. Stellite is my goal. Try finding though in a knife that's under $1,500. The cheapest I can find is in a Marfione Custom. Daryl Ralph does like a $4,500 knife. So Stellite is a goal. You can buy it for knives, but it's just you have to get a custom maker to make it for you. And another thing is Rockstead ZDP. I've got to try that. See if it cuts rope very long. I don't know if it does. I'm sure it stays sharp in some conditions. Rope cutting isn't the only condition, so there's that. But yeah, overall, I just want to grow my channel as much as I can. YouTube is very much, subscribing has never been more important, because YouTube, the minute they detect knives, like I even see big YouTubers like Cutlery Lover only getting like 1,000 views in some videos now in the first day or so, where it used to be, 20,000. It's a funny old system they've got going. I hope it blows over. But yeah, they sort of really are, because I've got the math behind putting channels like mine so we're less likely to be discovered. Not that I'm too bothered, because my core group of viewers is certainly keeping me interested and keeping me going. So, and I'm about price neutral with the testing and stuff now. Every now and then there's enough extra for me to buy a couple of little things to test. So yeah, it's doing well, but I'd like it to do weller. And Hitman number 86. What are some historically traditional Australian knives of settlers and of colonists? We are very much just a British offshoot country, so things that the British were using, Joseph Rogers knives, like those sorts of just traditional pocket knives, cover our history as much as most other sort of British colonial countries. Aboriginal society obviously had like flint knives and that sort of thing. I'm not too well versed in that, so I try not to talk about stuff I don't know about, but I know they did have cutting tools. And then like a common Australian knife is this thingy here. This is the Australian Army knife. Very, very basic little mess knife. And we've done a review on this years ago. Really crappy review, I think, just using a webcam. And my buddy Chris sent this one along. So yeah, it's just like some of them have the marlin spikes, some of them don't, but it is just literally a sheep's foot blade and a can opener. This one's actually got Japanese steel. It's super stainless, so I'm imagining it's just like AUS 6 or something like that. But yeah, that's a pretty common knife. Lots of army dudes would be like, oh, yeah, that knife. So that's probably another one that I can think of. But we're not we've got a young history, we really do. So we don't have that, that French culture, Layol, from the Renaissance almost, we don't have that as much. So, but yeah, cool question though. did my best. Now let's have a look. William, so is it true that everything in Australia wants to kill you and has the biological capabilities to do so? Well, we're a funny country. We actually lack huge apex predators. The closest we've got is crocodiles, which are terrifying, and I would probably say some of the saltwater crocs that we get, or even now I think it's the freshwater ones in Central Australia, I would pit them against lions and bears without a doubt. But yeah, we don't really have an apex predator that kind of lives near like civilized society. Like that's kind of in our Wild West sort of. There are communities up there, of course, and there's lots of tourism that goes through there. But yeah, we lack the apex predator. But what we lack in big predators, we make up for in venom. So I think we've got 8 of the 10 deadliest snakes. And we've got a couple of spiders that will literally drop you if they bite you. So the redback spider is super common, and that will severely incapacitate anyone sort of under 10 and over 60. My dad got bitten on the face by a redback spider, and he had a fucked up face for like 3 months. And he was like, that was when he was like a healthier dude in his like late 40s. And then we've got in New South Wales, I'm unfortunate enough to have a thing called the Sydney funnel web, which is a horrid spider. Actually fairly aggressive as well, like territorial. They have a funnel-shaped web, and yeah, their poison will just kill a full-grown adult without any bother if they don't get it treated quick enough. We've also got things like white-tailed spiders. We've got blue-ringed octopuses, which are, they're really cute little things, live in rock pools. You pick them up and they fucking roast your whole hand in searing, burning pain. Our coasts are swarming with jellyfish, long poisonous tendril jellyfish. We're doing pretty well for the dangerous animals. And just, yeah, eastern brown snakes, super common there in the yards all the time, always killing dogs and stuff. I deal with a fair bit of that from day to day. So yeah, they're not too fun as well to get bit by. Most of this stuff is treatable, like we're pretty advanced like healthcare wise, so even your country hospitals will have the right anti-venoms for this stuff, and luckily enough all our stuff's free here, so you can get bit by a snake. I've been bitten by a redback spider, which was very, very painful, very, very unpleasant, but yeah, it was just like an antihistamine because I was fit enough. But yeah, usually the treatments are easily enough obtained. I've been bitten by a white-tailed spider as well. White-tailed spiders, if you're unlucky enough to be allergic to them, which I think about half people are, you get a recurring necrotic rash that comes back for, can be years. It's sort of like whenever your immune system gets low, your arm will fucking start going purple and shit. It's pretty nasty. But yeah, I guess it's harsh. It's a harsh place to have lasted for years and years because it's just so hot. There's not much water. You just have to be super tough. And most things got kind of small and angry and tough rather than sort of big and lumbering and, bear-like, I guess I'm thinking. How's it there in Australia? Do I like it? It's worth visiting natural places. He's from Canada. I'd like to go to Australia and New Zealand. I think if you're from Canada, you'll probably feel quite at home here, apart from the accent. It's the same basic kind of system, I guess, as well. You'll probably find like this transport and health systems are all very similar. The people are pretty laid back. I mean, we have hysterical media as well that's kind of doing what everyone's doing. Of just making everyone... It seems if you watch our news, you'd feel like, geez, those Australians are really upset by everything, and there's always... Everyone's outraged about some insensitive thing some celebrity said on Twitter, but it's not. The average people aren't like that at all. We just, like most countries, we just have that kind of working class majority who kind of don't really pay attention to like the shrieks of the minority, trying to turn us all against each other and stuff. So we feel kind of similar, I think, to most of kind of the Commonwealth kind of countries still. I reckon we feel pretty different to America being here. But I think it's they're fairly similar to Canada, and it's great. It really is. Apart from being really hot, like we have like 48 degrees Celsius days and stuff, but you get used to that. Apart from that, and apart from like, so things cost a little bit more, I think, but I mean, our wages are slightly higher as well. So it's kind of like this thing, our money there's more of it, but it's worth a bit less, but because there's more of it, it sort of works out. I think I would have to work about the same amount of hours per week to buy the same amount of things as an American in my equivalent position would. I think if you look at it, our times value, I think is probably about the same. So yeah, it's a great country. I've never had any problems. I've had adversity in my life, of course, like everyone. We're pretty team-based. Like most people are happy to pay a bit more tax to have a slightly better roads, to not have to pay not get hospital bills when we go to hospital. Most people seem okay with that, and it seems to work okay. Most people seem happy, so it's a good place. Do I overfeed my cat on purpose? I really don't. Basil he's enormously obese. It is part of his breed. If I was to pick him up, here, I'll go and get him. Just watch this. Come here, Basil, fat lad. So, this is actually mostly loose skin and it just hangs down. It's, yeah, there's a lot of him like, that's not fat, but it's just kind of all just pulls out. He's just a hilarious cat, look at him. Just, Basil. This cat just has zero fucks to give about anything. Highly recommend the British short hair if you ever want a good cat. You know, right, Basil? That's about as aggressive as he gets. So yeah, no, he's not super, like he's big. He's a big fat cat, but it's not from overfeeding. He has one small bowl of dry food a day. And that's it. And he shares it with Lemon as well, the other cat who's not fat. So it's just, they eat the same amount. She's tiny. So just how Britishes go. So if you do like that, and because he's healthy, like the vet says he's probably a bit on the big side, but there's probably not much we can do about that given what we feed him. We just feed him the meat-only, grain-free food. And yeah, he's fine. Like he's healthy. It's just a weird kind of cat. What's my favorite blade shape? My favorite opening mechanism? I like... the reason it's my favorite knife, I like the Spidey Chef's blade shape. That still has enough tip to be able to do tip style work. I like there's a little bit of flat here's all I need, and then just the belly is awesome. More important than blade shape, I like the handle position. I like my knuckles to be about level with the cutting edge of the blade. So there's that. My favorite opening mechanism is the Benchmade Axis Lock. The 940 is still one of my favorite knives. I just need to get another one. I don't need to, but I want to get another one. So yeah, that's probably that. Why can't I get any roots on Tinder? Killer Deegan. Probably because your profile picture is I'm guessing is it a skull bandana pulled up to here, holding two machetes? You may get a root, but they will probably not be with people who are that attractive. So. Could be in the profile picture, KD, I don't know. My favorite tool to sharpen with, and what's my favorite edge to work with? Favorite edge, oh, do you mean like a Scandi? No, that would be grind. My favorite tool to sharpen with is probably still my Tormek, because I can get a knife about 90% as sharp as I can on the Lansky with the Tormek. It's toothy, so it's kind of what's good for most of the super steels anyway. So I do still love my Tormek, even though I haven't been using it that much lately. My favorite edge to sharpen with is just the 20 degree. That seems to get the best result. Unless it's a really crap steel, most steels are tough enough to hold to 20 degrees. In fact, most steels can probably go to 17 quite happily. So that's mine there. Where's that Spyderco Tatanka or Tatanka versus some other VG10 blade performance? Should I stop holding my breath? Ah, yes, Bryant. It's one of those things, man. I get so many requests. I probably did say, yeah, man, I'll look into it. If I get the opportunity, I will. But yeah, you might have to stop holding your breath. Because I had a Spyderco Rock a while back. That was the fixed blade. The Tatanka is like a huge Spyderco folding knife, kind of like a Cold Steel Recon XL size knife. Really big, interesting looking knife with like a triad style lock. It's cool. But yeah, it's kind of gone out of my mind. I'm sorry, man. Gotta ask, Tide Pod or Pop-Tarts? Real talk, real talk. My generation is fortunately not the one eating Tide Pods, so that has gotten out of hand pretty quickly. I will eat Pop-Tarts all day, which are probably not that much better for me though. For M390 or 20CV, what kind of edge would last the longest? I think it'd end up being a polished edge at about 20 degrees is what I get the best results with. Better than my workshop edge, better than the toothy edge. Yes, because I did have my Wii knife. I did have that Wii knife in toothy. I didn't do a full-on test with it, but I think it's a polish works better on the M390. I think, but I wouldn't say it's probably that much different. Anyway, did I do that one? I can't remember. Yeah, wouldn't say it's that much different. Which of your knives have you put through the workshop that you really didn't want to? This happens all the time. It wasn't mine, but that Wii knife was terrifying to put in the workshop. Terrifying. Because, you know, the workshop, if you're not careful, it can convex, no, not convex, it can recurve your blades just a little bit, and that is a lot of work to undo. And then you often end up overdoing it too much, and you end up completely shagging your knife. So that, plus the Sebenza, when I had the Sebenza, my Bark River, any Bark River I had to micro convex, because it's already got like the perfect convex, but it's a broader convex. But yeah, so with knives like that in the future, I'm probably just going to do them unleashed, because unless I haven't done the steel yet. So, but yeah, those were generally the more expensive the knife is. And maximeters are never fun to workshop either, because it generally uses like an entire belt up, and then the belt is smooth afterwards. So there's that as well. Could you please name the best steel if your main consideration was equally rust resistance and edge retention 50-50? Would H1 be the top, or is there a better choice? Well, H1's definitely not near the top, but LC200N is at the top. Cutting performance proved to me repeatedly with this knife equal to about S30 or S35 VN, and complete stain resistance. As far as I'm concerned, unless you're like dipping it in like boric acid, complete stain resistance. So LC200N is the choice. Coming out in more knives this year, there's a native 5 in it coming soon, should be nice and accessible. Definitely a steel to watch, and I think they've caught on that it's quite good. So I just don't know how it goes in chopping knives and in like big tasks. I haven't tested it with chipping, so maybe I will. Right, if you had to give up all your knives but one for the rest of your life, which would you choose? Well, it would probably be a Benchmade 940 if I still had one, an American Lawman, if I actually, just for sheer usability, practicality, bomb-proofness. Spidey Chef, it's probably the American Lawman, frankly. Like, knowing that I'd end up having to just use it and not play with it the most, I'd say the lock's probably got more resistance. This edge retention's probably about ideal. I can sharpen it. It's a bit tricky, but it's easy enough to sharpen. So yeah, I'd say the Lawman probably, just for general purpose use. It's pretty good, pretty unbeatable. Nothing really can go wrong on it. And what's your favourite Australian animal and historical event? My favourite Australian animal, I love our kangaroos. I think they're awesome. I think they're like our equivalent of like having deer and gazelle. They're dumb as fuck. They jump in front of your car like as if it's an ice cream truck and they're kids. But yeah, they're really nice animals. And I mean, they can be a bit aggro sometimes, but most of them around like urban areas are sort of almost tamish, and you can get fairly close to them, even pet them sometimes. So it's pretty cool. My favourite historical event. I'm not sure if I have an answer to that one. I'm not a big history buff. I guess it's kind of cool. Some of the stuff we've done with our radio telescopes is fairly awesome. We do lots of star mapping and things in Australia, which has paved the way for a lot of discoveries in science. I'm a bit of a science nerd, so yeah, we've done a lot of space, and we don't have our own space like launch agency or anything, but we do a lot of contribution to the sciences really. So I think we've invented a lot of cures. We're pioneering MS treatments and things like that. So I think we will be right on the cutting edge of history. As I think we do, even our more conservative governments generally do prioritise science quite a lot, which is great. So we are often the ones making the medicines and things. So that's probably about as good as I can give you. Am I still happy with the purchase of the Summit Expedition from Frost River? I'm considering one of these. To be honest, no, I'm not really. I always use my Wisport pack. It's lighter. It does kind of the same thing. It just doesn't quite have the rusticness of it, but yeah, rustic doesn't really help you much when you're walking through the bush. It's just a heavier pack, and it's lovely. Like, I can admire it. It's like a nice old car or something, but the newer cars just have the better features. It's one of those things. I mean, do you want to buy mine? You can send me an email if you like, if you're nearby enough. I mean, it might be super expensive to send it to the States if you're there, but I'm just literally sitting in my shed, so I'm going to give you a decent price on it probably. What was my first serious knife, and what's the most expensive blade you've ever purchased? First serious knife, I'll go and get it. So, Killer Deegan is technically correct. I'd say the Delic was the first time I spent more than $100 on a knife, but first knife I bought to say, you know what, I'm going to try carrying a pocket knife. was the Leatherman Crater C33. I'd carried Leatherman multi-tools for ages, and I was like, you know what, I just kind of want just a knife. I've been using that a lot on my multi-tool, so let's go with this one. So I went from Skeletal and Super Tool to this bad boy. This is the one with the launcher on the back of it, the Crater C33. It's a good one. It's really low cost and cheap steel and stuff, but it's a well-made knife. It's made by Leatherman, has all the warranty and stuff that you'd ever want. And yeah, so this is probably my first knife that I bought to have a knife. My most expensive knife I've ever purchased was my Sebenza, which I just found too fucking creepy to use, to be honest. I was like, nah, I'm gonna ruin it, because I do actually, my knives all get thrashed, they all get beaten up, I use them, and I just couldn't quite bring myself to shave that much resale value off of it, because I couldn't not see the dollar signs. It ended up being probably about $600 to get my Bog Oak Sebenza here in Australian money. It was about $400 US plus I paid FedEx shipping, $460 exchange rate. It was about $580 to $600. So that was probably not, I doubt I'll do that again unless it's for something really specific like the Rockstead or some Stellite or something like that. So yeah. Right. Why are you wearing that lame shirt? You never went to Bovine University? No, I didn't. I actually don't eat much meat at all. Basically a vegetarian. Oh, and that is not going to please the last commenter, which I've got a special segment at the end. But yeah, I actually don't eat much meat at all. I just don't have the taste for it or the appeal for it. I know, right? But I'm still strong enough and healthy enough. I haven't been to Bovine University. And yeah, I probably, unsubscribe if that, about what I eat, if that bothers, if that affects the videos I make, then. But yes, I do like the reference, and you are clearly a Simpsons man, sir, so very good. Will you ever get another Bark River JX6 in CPM 154? Probably not that knife again. I always just like to get a different knife so I can do a new review on it. And that's probably my favorite small EDC knife so far, but they just don't happen for me. So I'm gonna try and find a folder in it. I think or I'll get that Spyderco Giant Bowie one day that is made of it, so who knows. So that's that. Let's just see, refresh the comments 1 minute. If you could choose only 10 items for Dickhead Survival, what would they be? Well, I'm going to have to write some things down then, Stephen, just a second. Alrighty, so I would do a fixed blade, probably bring my Falcon F1, because I'm going to for my larger tasks, I'd bring my Gränsfors outdoor axe. Number 2, I'd bring a tarp, I'd bring like 5 kilos of trail mix if I could. I'd bring my Sawyer water filter, bring a hammock and net, like it's like an all-in-one thing. Some sunscreen, because stuff only doing things under the shade, there's not much of that around here. First aid kit, a paracord spool, and some fire steel or a lighter or something, just in case I need to make a fire. Which you probably don't as much here in Australian summer. As long as you have the water filter, fire probably ain't the biggest deal in the world. So yeah, that's my 10. Jay Excellent asks, if you could put your favourite steel on your favourite knife design, what would it be? I would love a Falcon F1 in Vanitas 4 or an M4 or K390 or something like that. That'd be super good. That'd be such a good outdoor knife. You'd have to take a bit of care of it, but yeah, that'd be some good stuff there. Love the shape and just the general use of the Falcon F1 for sure. What are my wife and daughter's favourite knives? Well, my daughter, she's not that interested just yet. She knows I have a hobby. My son, he likes the multi-tools, like he likes playing with them. They know they're sharp, they're little kids, so I think they've been bitten a few times already and they're sort of a bit tentative about it all. And my wife loves the Kaiser Gemini. I don't know why. She just took an affinity to it, likes the action, likes, I guess it's a smaller handle for a smaller hand. Yeah, likes that. Clearly an undercover Scientologist working in ASIO as a double agent for the CIA, and Basil is my Q. It's about as logical as some of the other suggestions that get made. What's your favourite new product announced at SHOT Show so far? I've filled that one already. It's the as yet unnamed 4V Bowie knife from Spyderco, I think. Benchmade Grizzly Ridge as well, looked really cool. Am I close to the ocean? You like a lot of non-stainless steels as I do. Do you have to worry too much about rust? Yeah, I do, because I'm a kayaker. That's how I would choose to spend my leisure time. And all my dickhead survival stuff, just all my walks are just usually out by the river, often involve, getting water and drink bottles out of the river into filtration systems, that sort of stuff. Things get splashed. I do prefer stainless for my camp knives, my outdoor knives, but the carbon steels you get amazing performance for YouTuber purposes like testing and doing hard use stuff on. So yeah, I like them about equal, but yeah, the stainless, I'll take the Spidey Chef out and the Falcon Even F1 all the time because they're pretty much pretty hard to ruin. And last question, when is the next Dickhead Survival? I know, right? I feel the same. I love those videos. I've put a fair bit of resource into the edge testing stuff lately, but I know the want is real from everyone. And yeah, I'll definitely get on it as soon as I can, but I wouldn't probably be expecting one within the next... I do have some holidays coming up in about a month's time, so I might be able to get out for an overnighter and get one done then. Alright. Ooh, lucky last. Tony, you just got in. It's a long one too. I recently saw on one of your videos that you said M39 was your favourite blade steel. Does that still hold true? Yeah, it's in terms of just getting all of the attributes covered as well as you possibly can right now, I think M390 is up there. It's just expensive, but if you didn't have to pay money for things, then I think you'd choose M390 for most jobs. Not all, but most. How does M390 compare to CPM 110V? Well, 110V, I didn't get it to its optimal because apparently, and probably truly, it needs a toothy edge on it. 110V, I think, is a little less stainless than M390 as well. I just remember some mild tarnishing on both my native and my paramilitary 2 that I had in it. So yeah, probably not as all around, but I reckon you could probably get it to cut a bit fiercer and a bit longer. But this is all untested still, so just kind of going with my gut on that one. I'm thinking specifically of the PM2, where the same knife is available in many different steels. He's already got it in M390 and Maximet. Looking at the 0180, watched my review of it yesterday and appreciate my comparison with the Strong Arm. However, looking at the 0180 from super steel nerd perspective, is Vanitas 4E the ultimate steel for a survival type knife? I've watched every video I can on the Vanitas 4E and the 0180 and the knife looks indestructible. I want the survival steel equivalent as Maximet as to edge retention as LC200 and H1 are to corrosion resistance. Strong Arm's interesting in BDZ1 steel, yes. On that last note, I can't get it here. I asked Gerber, I think Gerber is still angry at me for breaking my Bear Grylls knife years ago. When I was a pretty new channel, they sent me a Bear Grylls knife and a Strong Arm to test and a couple of other things. And I broke it in a tree like straight away. I like to think that I've probably sold a few Strong Arms on their behalf, but yeah, I've contacted them a couple of times via email just saying, hey man, I'm in Australia, you're only sort of selling them on Amazon, could you send me one? Like, can I buy one? Not even for free. I said, like, I'll show you the email. I want to buy one from your site, but the portal's only letting me choose either US or US Army, not Australia. So anyway, and they just haven't got back to me, so whatever. But yes, that is interesting, and I'll probably end up picking one up secondhand at some point. But as to what you were saying, yes, if you do think like that, so ultimate edge retention, 10 out of 10, Maximet, sure. Ultimate rust resistance, LC200 for sure. Yeah, ultimate toughness, Vanitas 4 would definitely be there with 3V of course as well. 3V might even be a bit tougher. Vanitas 4 and 4V are made more towards edge retention as well as trying to emulate the same toughness as 4V, so it'd be very much a close game, I think. But it's amazing steel. It's apart from being a little bit prone to rust, it's not even that much of a rust hog like say A2 or one of those sort of tool steels, so it's amazing stuff, it really is. I've just sold my 0180. I was looking to sell it for a while. I love the knife, but fixed blades for me, whenever I actually do go out just for fun, it's usually just the Falcon Even F1. That's my knife. So yeah, all the other ones are kind of just either I'm searching for the one that I'm gonna like more, or I'm just doing them for review. So yeah, but yes, good questions. Thanks for watching, dudes. Any questions that I missed were probably just duplicated or they got shoved to the spam folder. I kind of stopped when I had like 30 and just when the video was going to be ages. So, but I'll probably do another one next weekend because these are fun. Alright guys, I'll catch you in the next video. Bye now.
The hell kind of childhood did you have? You never fired a damn slingshot? Why, didn't your dads let you have a slingshot? What about a pocket knife? Australians are getting so civilized and evolved. You are such a rugged and tough people. Now it's the land of disarmed, emasculated male feminists and Vegemite! It's kind of sad. C'est la vie. You're a youngster, so you haven't experienced anything different. You think that being a puss cake is how you're supposed to be. Is your wife out working while you fuck about making YouTube videos? Shouldn't you be cleaning the house and taking care of the children? Get back to work. Go slice some apples and wipe some asses. Nathan Stevens.
Whoa. It's interesting when you get a post like this, because really you look at the context of the video and you get someone comes and brings all their issues right up to you. So we've got, I sense derision towards gay people, young people, women working, and men raising kids. They were kind of the main ones, all because Pete can't use a slingshot very well. It's always revealing, I find, the issues that people jump straight into. It's a pretty good comment. It's a good one worthy of dramatic reading. It hits all the boxes of, extreme drama, because obviously a small part of the video is upset someone, or just my general mannerisms. I always find this type of sort of commenter, they show up whenever you have the word survival in the title of a video. It just kind of happens. They're the manly men who seem to divide their time somewhat unevenly between actually going out and being this sort of mythical gender team role, and then the rest of the time is often just kind of telling everyone else that they're not doing that. So very interesting, but it's good in one sense, but overall it's kind of cliche. You do see a lot of this kind of poster. That's why I've sort of steered away from the survival side of things, because there's mathematical equation to it. There has to be. It's amazing. I prefer my little nook of nerdy knife science because you avoid this mostly. My commenters, I probably only get about 2 or 3 of these a week now. It used to be probably 2 or 3 a day, straight into the junk file. I used to be able to pull like 6 of these out of thin air to do a dramatic reading of. So overall, kind of by the numbers at this point. So I'm going to give this one 4 gay couples out of 10. So there you go. Good job, guys. Thanks for your questions, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye now.